I went through hundreds of automations that I've created over the years, and I picked my top favorites that I use every day. But can I set up all these without any kind of smart home hub? It will be challenging because I'm only going to be using the Google Smart Home system with no hub to help me out. Let's see how much I can do. So I'm going to start off with the most simple automation, and then every automation is just going to get a little bit more advanced. So starting off with the first one being the most simple, but one, honestly, I don't think I could live without. Automating my porch lights to automatically turn on at sunset and then turn off in the middle of the night. I do not need a hub for this, and it's really easy to set up using a basic Google Home routine. The only thing you'll need is a smart light switch, and you can use a Wi-Fi one, so you don't need a hub. Casa makes a really good one, so you can just use that to automate your porch lights. Like I said, we're starting off really easy, so let's turn it up a notch. Here in the studio, I'm using millimeter wave because it's perfect for turning off the lights at the right time, since it can detect the slightest little movements, and it only turns off the lights if no one's in the room, which makes it difficult when I'm trying to hide from my kids.
Dad, I know you're in there.
But the problem with millimeter wave is that they're expensive and sometimes require a hub like the sensor I'm using in here. So I bought a Treat Life millimeter wave sensor, and it's a fraction of the cost of the others, and you don't even need a hub to use it. It connects directly to Google Home and it works great. So this is our robot vacuum, and I try to have it clean as much as possible. So I set up an automation to just clean the kitchen late at night. I'm using Roborock, and you need to use the app to define where the kitchen is, but you do not need a hub for this automation to work. You can just set up a basic Google routine and then use a custom action to have the robot vacuum clean the kitchen. So far, these are super easy. I mean, who even needs a hub, right? So my next favorite automation is when the backyard lights turn on when these doors open, and my kids use this every single night when they go out and play. Now, I'll admit, the sensor that I'm using on this door does require a hub, but there is a way to do it without needing a hub. You would need to use this thread contact sensor that connects directly with Google using Matter. Now, these sensors are a little more expensive than like Zigbee sensors that do the same thing. So if you were adding a bunch of sensors around your house, it might be cheaper to get a hub. But the point is, you don't need a hub for this automation to work, and I set this automation up in a simple Google Home routine. Okay, this next automation is probably in my top 5 favorite of all time. Playing or pausing the TV changes the lights exactly how we like them. Here's how the automation works. If the TV is playing, you turn off the lights. If you pause the TV, the lights turn back on. And I don't need a hub or a complicated automation for this to work. If you're using Google, you can just use a Chromecast and a basic Google routine. Having an automation that turns on the lights when I enter the garage is so helpful. I can see better, it's safer, and it just makes me happy with how bright it is. And best of all, you do not need a hub for this automation to work. You could use a contact sensor that uses thread that I showed earlier on a regular door, or if the garage door opens, I can use the Mera Smart Garage controller that connects directly with Google and trigger the automation. To control the lights, I'm using a Casa Smart Outlet that connects directly with Google, and it was really easy to set up the automation in the Google Home app. Didn't even break a sweat. But I might be sweating right now because it's really hot in Arizona. So this is all pretty easy. So let's get a little more advanced if you can handle it with another automation here in the garage. And this automation helps us remember to close the garage door if we left it open. For this automation, this little light turns on whenever a garage door is open. And I really like this because it's very subtle, but you can still see it anywhere here in the main room. Now, this is a Z-Wave device, so it needs a hub. But luckily I have a lot of Wi-Fi lights for testing over the years, so it shouldn't be an issue. But a warning, this automation is tricky if you have 2 garage doors. Say both garage doors are open, the light will turn on. But if one garage door closes and you had a simple automation, it will turn off the light. And that is no good because the other garage door is still open. So should you just throw in the towel because you don't have a hub? No way, you don't need a hub for this automation. That's where the Google Script Editor comes in. And this is great for scenarios like this because you can have more advanced automations. So I love getting a good night's sleep. And this automation is one of my favorites because it helps me sleep better. When I walk into the bathroom, the lights turn on bright from a motion sensor, but when I need to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, only the light strips turn on to a dim brightness. That way it's not blinding, but it is bright enough I can still wash my hands, and not bright enough so I can still easily go back to sleep. And I don't need a hub for this to work. I could use a Matter over Thread motion sensor that pairs directly with Google and use some Wi-Fi light strips like Wiz or Casa. Okay, this is the most useful automation that I have. When my phone and Allie's phone leave the house, our smart home goes into away mode. So the robot vacuum starts, the thermostats run less, and all that kind of good stuff. But there's one really important feature, and that's the ability to skip away mode, like if the babysitter is over. So can you do this without a hub? Well, kind of. You would have to get creative, like turn on a specific smart bulb to a certain color that would skip the away mode if that was the case. I'm not going to count this as working without a hub because it doesn't really work well. So it's our first fail of the video. Now, I love a good nap, so an automation that improves it will definitely be a favorite. Normally I have a motion sensor that opens up the shades or turns on the lights so we can see better. But if I'm napping, I don't want that to happen. So I have a pressure sensor underneath my mattress that knows if I'm in bed or not, and it only runs the automation if I'm not in bed. The problem is the pressure sensor only works with my hub. There's not a lot of good options for Google Home, but there might be a way. So you can use the Aqara FP2 sensor because this sensor can scan the entire room and you can divide it into different zones and it knows if someone's in that zone or not. So you can make a zone for the bed and it would know if someone's in the bed. And this sensor would work over the pressure sensor because you do not need a hub to connect it directly to Google. But you would need the Google script editor for some of those advanced automations. All right, I have some really cool automations using my doorbell and outdoor camera, and it would take a miracle to get these automations working without a hub. So we'll see what I can do. But first, a quick travel by map. All right, I'm here in Southern California and I'm excited to check out Panasonic's solar panels and battery storage, which are installed on this house. And you have to see this. It's a crazy setup. You're looking at a house that's not even connected to the grid. 80 solar panels, 72 kilowatt hours of battery storage, and a generator backup that will kick on if the batteries get too low. See? Pretty crazy, right? So Panasonic's been a leader in this industry for a while, but what really caught my eye is this hybrid inverter because it's DC coupled, which means it's much more efficient at storing the energy from the solar into the batteries because it doesn't have to convert it. So these Evervolt battery storage options are interesting because they're modular. So each one of these battery cabinets or stackable batteries can come in 3 different sizes. But what I really like is that you can add more battery packs after it's been installed. So you could start off with a smaller battery pack, and then when you realize you need more battery storage, you could add more after. I wish I would have had a system like this because this would have taken all the pressure off when I was picking out my system. And on top of all that, Panasonic has a really good warranty, 25 years on the solar panels and 12 years on the battery storage system. And that's on product and labor. Nice. Since Panasonic's been around for so long, it's much easier to trust their warranty versus another who might not be around long enough to honor it. And this has been so much fun to see in person. And if you want to find out more, then check out the links down below. And thanks to Panasonic for supporting the channel. So another automation that helps our house run smoothly is all the lights in the main room. They turn on bright before dinner, and then they turn down to a dim setting right before the kids go down to sleep. And that helps them wind down, or at least it attempts to. And then the lights turn warm, so I'm tired. And when I go to bed, all the lights turn off. And this just happens automatically. I don't have to think about it. And I do not need a hub to run all these automations or the Google script editor. I can set up everything in the Google Home UI, but I would need the Google script editor if I wanted to skip these lights changing if the TV was on or something like that. All right, this next automation I'm about to show you is easily in my top 5 favorites. When a package is delivered while everyone's away, we get reminded from our smart home once we come home to go check the porch for the package.
Check the front porch for a possible package.
And I'm so happy when this automation runs, and my family is probably sick of hearing me rave about it. This automation is my crowning achievement, the thing I'm most proud of.
What about me, Dad?
The automation might seem difficult, but I can set it up without using a hub. Here's how it works. When everyone's away from the house and the video doorbell detects a package, then turn these smart lights green. So when I come home, I can see these green smart lights, know that there's a package on the door, and once I open up the front door, it will turn these lights off or turn them back to normal. Now packages never get left on the porch again. You know what's insanely useful? Person detection on our outdoor cameras for automations. That's what I'm using for one of my favorites. When the sun is down and we're playing basketball over here, the camera can detect us, and the person detection can trigger an automation to turn on the smart floodlights so we can see while we're playing. And I'm using a hub for this automation, and I was like, there is no way this can work without a hub. So I asked the Google AI if it was possible, and it is! I have to use a Nest Cam to trigger the automation with the person detection, and you have to use the Google script editor to access that, but hey, it works! And the smart floodlights are Nova Stella, and they work with Google, so yeah, all of this works without a hub. If you've ever had a 1-year-old, you know your life and your automations revolve around the baby. When someone rings the doorbell, instead of blasting throughout the house on the smart speakers that someone's at the door, my automation first checks the baby's door to see if it's closed, and if so, it will skip the smart speakers and only notify our phone because the baby's probably asleep. And I can do this without using a hub. All I need is the Google script editor and a contact sensor on the baby's door, and I'm good to go. I love this automation because I press one switch and then I know when my shower temperature is ready and when I should be done showering. So all I'm using is a timer, and it starts when I turn on the shower lights, which I usually turn on the same time I start the water. And once the right amount of time passes and the water's hot, the light strips turn green to let me know, hey, it's time to get in the shower. So once I get in, a little bit of time passes, and then the light strips turn orange to let me know it's time to wrap things up. And then the light strips turn red when it's time for me to stop. This helps me take shorter showers, wasting less water and time out of my day. And you do not need a hub for this. All you need is the Google script editor because you can set time delays in between the different actions. Then you need a smart dimmer switch like Casa to kick things off, and some Wi-Fi light strips. Okay, now I'm really pushing the limits. I have some smart bulbs and these pendant lights that can change brightness and colors. And of course I have them automated with all the rest of the lights in here, but what if my family wants to control them from the light switch? So I set up a few automations with this smart light switch that I can change the brightness of the bulbs, or I can even change the colors of the bulbs. And I can turn off the light bulbs by just pressing the off button. And the best part is it doesn't kill power to the smart light bulb, so I can still automate them. But I look forever for a smart light switch like this that control the smart bulbs with buttons, works directly with Google Home, and does not need a hub, and it does not exist. This is one of my favorite automations, so fail. If you ask me what my #1 favorite automation of all time is, it's hitting this cabinet in our theater room and having everything turn on. I originally set this up as kind of like a joke because in movies and in TV shows, they hit things and then just magically they start working. But we actually use this, and it's a lot of fun to hit a piece of furniture for a productive reason. But here's the thing though, it uses a vibration sensor, and I could not find one that works with Matter to connect directly with Google without a hub. So I was super disappointed that I couldn't get this automation working without a hub. As you can see, there are some limitations if you don't use a hub, but I was still able to do a lot with just a Google Smart Home system. And I have some really cool automations that I'm working on that I can't wait to show you. So hit that subscribe button to not miss those videos. Thanks for watching.
You can't stay there forever, Dad. We have to eat.
I need to get him distracted.